Untamed is going to be untamed. It's going to be a little crazy. I want to talk to my people. I want to talk to my brothers and sisters. We can have grace and humility in how we interact with other people.
Oh, hot dog, look at you.
And nobody talked about what's really happening.
And let's have conversations about what truth is.
Woo! Welcome back. Happy New Year. Who would have thought, right? Who would have thought we would get to 2026? We got a lot of stuff going on today. Actually, we got a lot of stuff. We just have a lot of stuff. Just a lot of stuff that is a carryover. I feel like we have a little bit of a hangover from 2025 to 2026. We're just gonna get right at it. 2026 is we've talked a lot about how do we get back to a sensible society. We see that most of our country is captured, and it's captured by what can only be described as a cartel. And I've described this very, I kind of looked through it and said, okay, what part of the government does each part play? And organized crime has the earners, has the enforcers, has the captains, and then has the bosses, right? So those are that's your mechanisms that you have. So you have the earners that are on the street that basically get out there and they bully and they lie and they do the work. They steal the elect. They're the ones out there harvesting ballots and creating chaos that makes you look over there and go, hey, this is how they're stealing the election. And in actuality, they're over here using machines, mail-in ballots, and using an entire apparatus in order to steal elections. And it's not just elections we're talking about. We could talk about a number of different things. Lawyers are the earners, which, by the way, we have a lawyer that's going to be on with us. So I hope he doesn't get mad at me for calling him out for being a lawyer. But he's a constitutional lawyer. He's a good guy. You got to have the good with the bad. So it's kind of, well, we have the good. He's going to be joining us here to talk a little bit about what we're doing, that this war that we're up against. So those are the earners. Your earners is the lawfare. And then you have the enforcers. Those are the judges. These are partisan hacks. These are people that were put in place by the captains and the bosses. They were selected for those positions by selected people. And so then you have the enforcers that are out there that basically steal with impunity the livelihoods of those people that stand up and question that power apparatus. And then from there you have the captains. That would be your unelected bureaucrats. That would be the people that were selected by using this fraudulent system. Now, what we're seeing happen with Somalia is that other people are grifting off of that system. The guy that runs most of these daycares, I guess, lives in a $25 million home. So $25 million home. So billions of dollars go through these frauds just in Minnesota. And then you have the bosses. Now the bosses, this is where it gets really, really, really nefarious. So everyone says that everything's happening because of people overseas. It is not. It is the haves and the have-nots. It is a fraternity of evil. It is a cartel. There's no difference between what is happening here, what is happening here, what happens in a banana republic or a third world country. It's identical. Actually, it's worse here and more dangerous here because if you're someone like Charlie Kirk, or if you're someone like me, if you're someone like President Trump, you're going to become a target for these radical leftists. And I think that was the realization that I came to over the last couple of days, is that it's going to be a very dangerous situation for me over the next year. So we're going to talk about Elon Musk. We're going to talk about Tina Peters because she should not be in jail. President Trump vetoing a bill that would have given clean water to Southern Colorado. Let me just explain to you, he's not going to give anything from the federal government to Colorado until Colorado cleans up what it's doing. And right now, he can't hand money over to an illegitimate regime, which is what Colorado is. So is California, so is Washington, so is Oregon, so is Arizona. I mean, there are places in this country that are completely taken over by radicals that have treated the people like slaves. This is not... You think that we're in that there's some sensibility to what's happening in our country. It's not. There's none. And then we're going to be joined by Leighton Grey. He's a constitutional powerhouse. He's written books. He's the host of Gray Matter podcast. He's going to break down the war on truth and liberty. Let me just tell you a little bit about him real quick before I go into my diatribe, before I bring him on. He's a senior managing partner and head of civil litigation at Gray. I hope that's woke, Spencer. It says WOWK. I hope it's woke, because that would be awesome. He works for a firm that is not woke. Founded in 2005, a 7-lawyer firm with offices in Cold Lake, Edmonton, and Calgary. Yes, he is a lawyer from the north. Yeah, the place that's been completely taken over by, I'll let him tell you. He got his degree in English, although he's a grown man. So I will just tell you that he probably got his degree when degrees meant something. Although you got to, in order to be a lawyer, you got to go to law school, which I've played with a little bit. Maybe I should do that. He worked for the Federal Department of Justice, brief minor league pro hockey stint. So he's an athlete, which means he likes to win. Those are the ones you really want to have on your team. Full-time practice resumed in 1995, and he's done hundreds of trials as the leading Alberta criminal lawyer. He's appointed by to the King's Counsel, youngest in Alberta at the time, qualified mediator and arbitrator, former Law Society disciplinary adjudicator from 2015 to 2020. And he's wrote a book. He wrote a book. He does have his own podcast, and he's the author of Laws, Lies, and Liberties, and a collection of essays on government assaults on truth and liberty. The bad part is that I'm going to talk to him about this. We're past the point where we want to have a conversation about it. I don't want to debate with the ridiculous. I don't want to debate the ridiculous with the ridiculous anymore. And the fact that it's gotten to the place where we're talking about man or woman, or whether or not we should have God-given rights, or whether or not the government should be able to give them to us, just shows you how institutionally broken we are. And it's not just the United States. Canada is they're just one season ahead of us. They took away their gun rights, and the people fought. Then they took away their bank accounts. I mean, they are on the edge of full enslavement. And the kabuki theater that we see happening inside of the judiciary in the United States, I believe it started there. So let me just tell you, before I bring him in, I want to talk quickly about what I put out there over the last couple of days. I want to say thank you to Patrick, because he's done a great job of he had some fire podcasts over the last couple of days. First, Elon Musk. I put this up there because I started listening to what Elon was saying. And although I still think he's sniffing around the edges, let's go ahead and put that up if we would. I feel like Elon is heating up to finish the job of securing the nation. Just a hunch, but he is talking about fraud, even election fraud. He knows. In other words, he does know. Probably the smartest guy in the world. It says world. Sorry. But because he knows how to do everything, not because he knows how to do everything, but because he knows how to assemble the team that can. Happy New Year, 2026, the year of accountability. And Kyle Clark. So Elon called out for the Dem voter fraud. Let's put that up first. This is a cut where Elon's talking about the Dem voter fraud recipe book. Let's play it.
The single biggest thing that they're worried about is that Doge is going to turn off fraudulent payments of entitlements. Everything from Social Security, Medicare, unemployment, disability, Small Business Administration loans, turn them off to illegals. This is the crux of the matter.
Yep.
Okay. This is the thing that why they really hate my guts and want me to die.
And do you think that's billions, hundreds of billions? What do you think the scale is of that?
I think across the country, it's well north of 100 billion, maybe 200 billion. By using entitlements fraud, the Democrats have been able to attract and retain vast numbers of illegal immigrants.
And buy voters.
And buy voters, exactly. They basically bring in, 10, 20 million people who are beholden to the Democrats for government handouts and will vote overwhelmingly Democrat, as has been demonstrated in California. This is
It's an election strategy.
Yeah. Yes.
It's power.
Yes. And it doesn't take much to turn the swing states blue. I mean, often a swing state might be won by 10, 20,000 votes.
Sure.
So if the Dems can bring in 200,000 illegals and over time get them legalized, not counting any cheating that takes place, because there is some cheating, but even without cheating, if you bring in illegals that are 10x the voter differential in a swing state, it will no longer be a swing state.
Right.
All right. Let me say a couple things. One, Elon was saying things, and Ted Cruz was guiding him. And you'll see the other guy that said that's an election strategy. The left and the right have converged into one. We have the kabuki theater that you have that is obvious when it's related to people like Steve Bannon, Julie Kelly, Dan Bongino. I can go down the line where they basically stand together, pick up the phone, call each other. Hey, put out this post against Kyle Seraphin, put it out against Steve Baker, have somebody inside of the FBI call and try to adversely affect Steve Baker's employment, make sure that Steve Baker has a heart attack. I mean, look, there's so much of it. You have Steve Friend, who was with the FBI, he's a whistleblower. They had this whole deal where they were going to give him all their back pay. They never gave him back their back pay. The government doesn't have to do anything that they don't want to do. So they made an agreement and decided, we don't have to do it. But there's a cabal that's forming. And it's on both sides. This cartel, these earners and these enforcers and these bosses and these captains, it is not just Democrats. It's the haves and the have-nots. It is an entire system that is designed to enslave the people. Now, as long as you just go to work and come home and shut your mouth and be quiet, they'll let you keep 46% or 45% of your pay, 44% of your pay. As long as you give them your VIG, your 56 cents on every day, as long as you give them that, they're going to let you do whatever they want. Yeah, it's fine. No problem. But if you're white, nope, that's a strike. You're not getting a job. Yeah, if you go against the education institution, up. If you talk about election fraud, up. If you even question the people that are in office that have been selected both on the left and the right, up. This is how bad it is. And and let me just, I will just address this, and then I'm going to bring in our guest. I'm going to skip through some of the stuff. I'll do it after he gets off. I was told Phil Weasel Weiser said that I am not a serious candidate for governor. I'm not a serious candidate for governor. And they've started it all. The Denver Post put out a op-ed that basically attacked me. You had the Gazette that attacked me. Anschutz attacked me. They have their favorite candidates. You have Heidi All that's over here with Victor Marx. He's got his own set of problems. Frankly, I find the guy to has some of the most salacious stories out there. I'm not sure any of them are true, but I have sat and watched some of these candidates, albeit Scott Bottoms, I think is incredible. I mean, I think he's done a great job. He'd be a great guy. He'd be a great lieutenant governor for me. Scott, okay. Or vice versa. But if I'm not a serious candidate, and then why are they spending so much time on me? Why are they spending so much time attacking me? And they're not just attacking me, by the way, to the conservatives. They're attacking me to the Democrats so that they will not listen to me. Now, it's not working because I have more Democrats that are reaching out to me saying, hey, I went and watched your announcement. She goes, and that's how I feel. I've never actually had someone talk to me that way. And I think that's the problem, is that they know that I am a viable candidate and that as running for governor, I will win. If we get rid of the machines and the mail-in ballots and we get to a place where it's free and fair elections, the Democrats don't have they don't have a chance in any one of the races. Any of them. But they spend a lot of time putting a bunch of stuff up. And so we're going to talk about Matt Gray, and we'll talk about all of that after we get done with our guest. Let's just bring Leighton Grey in. Leighton, we're going to talk about lots of things having to do with truth, and it sounds like you have just as much problems with the truth north of the border that we do. Welcome to the show. Oh, you're muted. You're muted. You're muted. Can you unmute?
Hi, Joe. Sorry about that. Yeah, you're. It's great to meet you. You're right. I think that Canada may be the fulcrum of the war on truth globally, because we're so close to what's happening in the United States, and we're so infiltrated by really the engineers of most of what's going on. That's evil in the world, and that's China. China's completely infiltrated and taken over our government. And it's interesting, that clip you just played by Elon Musk, who people might not know is actually Canadian, but what he described about what's going on in the United States has already happened in Canada. The democratic structures in Canada have already fallen, and he perfectly described how it was done in our country.
Well, let's talk about that. Why are people letting it happen? Why are we capitulating to this crime? And these are crimes of not just the century, but of humanity. This is probably the biggest crimes to ever be committed in the history of human mankind.
Yeah, well, I don't know what your take is on it, but listening to your monologue there, I think that you probably agree with me that what we're dealing with right now is a good and evil struggle. We're talking about principalities and powers. The people who are trying to take everything over are metaphysically evil. And it's very difficult. Most people cannot understand and think and sense what's going on in those terms. Most people are very temporal, that they focus on their senses, what they see, what they hear, what they can touch. And they're not able really to see what's actually going on. This is actually proven when you look at the research of people like Edward Bernays, who wrote a lot about propaganda and how effective and efficient it is in shaping the way people think. And of course, the attack on free speech is only being opposed by a few small people, or I shouldn't say smaller people, but a small group of people who understand what it means and why it's happening and why it's been happening for a really long time. Just to give you an example, I just did a research piece for my show about William Tyndale. Most people won't know that name, but he's probably the most important author in the history of the English language. He translated the King James Bible from the original Greek Septuagint into English in the early 16th century. That's 500 years ago. And guess what? The government that was in place in England and, of course, the Church of Rome did everything they could to stop him, including hiring spies to arrest him. They threw him in jail, and eventually he was publicly strangled and burned at the stake. Why? Because he thought that the good people of England should be able to read the Bible in their own language. And so that was a time when, if you can believe it, Joe, if you taught your little boy or girl to recite the Lord's Prayer or the Apostles' Creed or the 23rd Psalm in English, they would haul you away and burn you at the stake publicly. And so the people who were doing that back in that time are the same ones who are doing all of this evil today. And so the attack on truth is coincidental with an attack on freedom of speech, freedom of expression. And of course, the taking over of all the power apparatus that you talk about, because all this is necessary. And of course, there's a small group of us, God bless you and your show, who are speaking out against this and trying to raise awareness about it. And unfortunately, most people are somnambulistic. They have no idea what's going on. They just focus on, what feeding their kids or, looking after soccer practice or whatever. And they don't see that all of these things are in jeopardy at this current moment in history.
When we talk about things being in jeopardy, we're not talking about AI just taking over things. We're talking about the annihilation of society as we know it. We see inklings of that happening in Canada right now. That's why I said you were there first.
Our government's run by a death cult. Just the Liberal Party of Canada, the Justin Trudeau, it's a death cult. We have the most permissive we have no abortion laws in Canada, no restriction on abortion whatsoever, and we are the world leaders in medical assisted death. Our government is run by a death cult. So you're bang on here. You're preaching to the choir, Joe.
So and what people don't understand, and maybe you could elaborate on this, is that euthanasia, if you go in and you have a comorbidity, they will say, here are the ways we can help you. And one of the options is kill yourself.
Yeah. The federal government in Canada has taken over suicide hotlines. And so when you call that suicide hotline, guess what advice you get? Yeah, and of course, this is all connected. If you want to look a little bit deeper, for example, in the province of Ontario, which is the largest province in Canada, sort of like the equivalent to what New York or California are in the U.S., you cannot access medically assisted death, even if you need it, unless you first go through a government-selected organization which will harvest your organs. And if you don't agree to have your organs harvested, you don't get made.
What do you mean?
That's how evil it is. Yeah. And of course, the number one purchaser of human organs in the world, I bet you can tell me, Joe, it's China. So that's what's happening in Canada. They're denying us healthcare. They're taking our money to pay for healthcare. We pay more per capita for healthcare than the United States or Great Britain or almost anybody in the world. Our healthcare is terrible, no matter what Michael Moore says in that ridiculous film he made, because most people who can afford to go to the U.S. for healthcare because it's better there, and otherwise you die. And then what they do is when we go ask for healthcare, they offer us made, and before we can get made, they harvest our organs and they sell them to the Chinese. This is what's going on in Canada right now, right here today, January 2nd, 2026.
Okay, so if this is what's happening in Canada and it's headed towards the United States, I'm going to ask it again. Why is it? I mean, you're a lawyer.
Yeah.
Why is it that there aren't more lawyers on your side of the wall or on our side that are willing to stick their neck out and actually do the right thing and speak up? Why is this feckless cowardice that we seem to be up against?
It's a great question. Part of the problem is lawyers themselves in the profession. I mean, remember what Jesus said about lawyers? Oh, ye scribes and Pharisees, right? Yeah. But the problem is the legal profession, as you rightly pointed out, and it goes all the way down to law schools, is terribly woke and leftist and has been for a really long time. And a lot of the awful ideologies that are in our culture right now, everything from, the conjugation of transgender and homosexual rights into human rights, to diversity, inclusion, equity, to critical race theory, radical feminism, all of it was incubated and birthed in law schools. And unfortunately, that's produced whole generations of lawyers and judges who are steeped in this stuff. And of course, as you know, Joe, once they get into the legal profession and worse into the judiciary, the left sees them and they see themselves as arms of the executive state. And this has impacted, the impartiality of our judiciary. We see all these crazy legal decisions. We see the attacks, the leftist attacks on President Trump, for example. We see what happened in Canada with, people who organized a peaceful protest in Ottawa being criminally prosecuted, having their bank accounts frozen. So unfortunately, the legal profession, and I say this with some degree of shame, is a huge part of the problem. And I include in that the judiciary. And we've lost the independence of the legal profession. We're supposed to stand on the stalwarts. We're supposed to be on the ramparts against tyranny. But we're not doing that. And too many of us, and of course, Elon Musk described the problem, and you did in your monologue, too many of us are willing to take money, take the bribe, take the comfort, keep what little bit we have in our little world, and then we're not willing to speak truth. But this is all not going to stand. God's not going to stand for this. It says in Proverbs that the tongue has the power of life and death, and those who love it will eat its fruit. Well, those who hate it, are really asking for justice, and I believe that they're going to get it. And I believe it's coming. We're in a turning right now, and I think those of us who are in the legal profession have a very deep responsibility, in my opinion, even perhaps more than other people, to speak this out and to make people aware of what's going on and how our laws, God's laws, have been perverted and inverted and used and weaponized against truth.
Do you have any hope for Canada? I mean,
yes, I do.
That's a difficult question to ask. Obviously, look, I've been struggling.
Yeah. I think there is. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
I've been struggling over the last, I don't know, at least 3 or 4 weeks. And I think the struggle is that I'm putting on my armor of God.
Yeah.
Right. I am, and then I just got away from reading the scripture. And so I've just been kind of downloading, trying to get back. My biggest fear is this, that we will become the very thing that we're fighting against. And yes, we will destroy them.
Yeah.
Because good will conquer evil. But then we put ourselves in the same cycle that we're perpetuating what they did by justifying the fact that we destroy them.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've been spending a lot of time reading and trying to figure out, how do I maintain goodness while still carrying the sword?
Yeah.
And I think most men struggle with this, who have already made the decision that they're going to stand up and speak.
Mm-hmm.
That they're going to take the hits to reputation. It says in Matthew 13 that you have to be willing to give up your reputation in order to stand, right?
Yeah.
And so I want to be able to do that and do so honorably. But the other part of me, the flesh part of me, wants to destroy people.
Mm-hmm.
Like I want to fight.
Oh yeah. 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 Well, God bless you for stepping into public life and seeking the governorship, because we need people like you to enter public life. And this is part of the problem. And I know you know this, Joe, but for the benefit of your viewers and listeners, what happens with what you're describing and what Elon Musk was describing is that the system, if we can call it that, tends to keep the good people out, the ones who are willing to pay the cost of discipleship, the ones who actually want to be servant leaders in the way that's described in the gospel. Think of Jesus washing the disciples' feet. He set the path. He exemplified that servant leadership. But unfortunately, when you have corruption in government, it starts to produce more of what it actually creates. It's a self-perpetuating system, and it tends to keep out the good people. So we need more people like you who are willing to step into that fray, pay the cost of discipleship, and be proper leaders, as Donald Trump is trying to do, and as others are trying to do. And I really think this is the mission of people who are going to stand up for truth. There's going to be a cost. It is dangerous. You saw what Charlie Kirk and his family paid. But the reason why I have hope, to answer your question, comes back to something that G.K. Chesterton wrote about in a book that he wrote about 100 years ago. It's called The Everlasting Man. And in it, he says something really fascinating that I think is true and that we're witnessing right now. And I believe that Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA is a part of this. He said that Christianity is unique in that it has gone through many deaths, but always it rises again, because the personification of truth, Jesus Christ himself, rose from the dead. And so we see Christianity rising again and again. Buddha died not knowing what the truth was. You can see in his late writings, Buddha didn't come back. Muhammad didn't come back. Our Lord came back from the dead. And so it's within the seeds of Christianity, which is the truth, to keep coming back and rising again. And of course, but it's got to go through these periods where it's challenged and where it seems to die a death. And I think we're experiencing that moment right now in places like Canada and Great Britain and even in the United States, where it feels like that's dying. But then there's a lot of signs, and I'm sure you can point to many more of them than I can, that in fact there is this rebirth happening, and that there is a reckoning coming. And when people like you enter public life, and people like Donald Trump and others, that's a sign to me that that's happening. And that, more than anything else, gives me hope.
So how do we, if we turn back the clock, first of all, your elections are no more secure than they are here in the United States.
Oh, worse.
They're largely fraudulent in a lot of different ways. And and this is, no matter what proof we put forward that the elections are stolen, once you get to a certain critical point, there has to be someone willing to save it.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Who's your saving it person in Canada? Who's coming in to lead the people into battle?
Well, this is a great question. I don't think that we presently have someone. We don't have a Javier Milei. We don't have a Maloney. We don't have a Trump right now in our country.
Yeah.
What we do have, actually, and this might shock you to hear this, is we do have Donald Trump. And Donald Trump right now is the most influential political figure in Canada. In fact, he's the most influential political figure in the world. And the MAGA movement, I call it that because I believe that that's what it is. It's not just a political creation. People try and call it that, but I attended a Trump rally right before the November 24 election, and I was in a room where I was holding hands with 200 other people in a circle, praying that Donald Trump would win. And it occurred to me at that time that MAGA is actually a made in America response to globalism, response to evil, and that it has global implications. And it has taken hold in Canada, and we're seeing signs of it now. And I believe that the best hope for Canada is that the people of Canada are going to turn more towards what is happening in the MAGA Trump movement and turn away from the globalism that is dominating our government in Ottawa. Our government in Ottawa is becoming more and more overt in their agenda and exposing themselves. And I believe it's because that is out of desperation. A lot of what they've done up until recent times has been subtle. They've done it behind the scenes, but now they're becoming more and more obvious and overt. In particular, their public rejection of a relationship, even a trading relationship with the United States. Mr. Carney, our Prime Minister, is going out of his way to destroy traditional trading relationships and cultural relationships between the United States and Canada, which really are very, very essential to Canadian life. You could make a very strong argument that Canada, in a lot of ways, is not a fully sovereign country. We are so interwoven with the United States. This goes all the way back to the very beginning, to the Revolution. When the United Empire Loyalists, they rejected the Revolution and they migrated to Canada. That's how deep this is in the relationship. But I think that Donald Trump is probably, and the Trump movement, the MAGA movement, is probably doing the most to change things in Canada. And most people who are optimistic about things in Canada are looking there for inspiration, frankly.
Do we get out of this without violence? And look, I called for people who committed treason to be arrested, tried for their crimes, and hanged, because they keep saying not hung, past tense. Okay, hanged by their neck until dead. And that what they've done to our country, what they've done to your country, is not a victimless crime. They don't have to take responsibility for the death. They don't have to take responsibility for the fact that you could rip out a 9-month-old baby out of a uterus and chop it up into pieces in Canada, and there would be no consequences. They don't have to take responsibility for the death and destruction and violence that occurs because they stripped everyone's right and ability to defend themselves in Canada or in the United States, is where they're going for now. I say these things, and they say it's violence, that Joe's promoting violence.
Right.
At what point is what I'm calling for accountability? At what point can they stop the ridiculous, stop associating me calling for what the crime? If found guilty of treason, you do die. They either shoot you or you can hang yourself. Right. Those are two ways to get gunned. Yeah. But they turn that into I'm calling for violence. How do you rid yourself? You said it, good versus evil.
Yeah.
How do we rid ourselves of evil if we're not willing to apply force? Evil does not just crawl back in its hole.
No, it's true. And the violence is already here, isn't it? I mean, we've seen there have been incidents in the United States and Canada. We saw what happened recently in Australia.
Charlie Kirk.
Yeah. The violence is here. The violence is already happening. The question is, how are we going to respond to it? What are we going to do about it? Of course, this is a difficult question for Christians because, unfortunately, many Christians have been propagandized into the false notion that somehow being a Christian somehow makes you a pacifist. And I encourage them to acquaint themselves with the history of the Crusades. And for that matter, the world wars, which were essentially religious wars when you look at them rationally, when you look at them truthfully, when you drill all the way down. But this concept of violence, and you're right, the left, I call them the left, the people, the evil people, want to convince us that words are violence. And the reason why they do that is because they want to take away our agency. They want to say that even our words are violence. And of course, when we witness actual violence, murder, Charlie Kirk being the example, then if we speak out against that, then we are the violent ones. We're the awful ones. Or worse than that, our words justify our own killing, which is what happened, as you know, in the aftermath of Charlie Kirk. Many people, very famous people, famously said, well, he got what he deserved. But to answer your question, no, I don't think violence can be avoided. But there is a point at which justifiable force is not just a legal concept, it's also a moral one. And if the people who are the enemies of truth are going to use physical violence, I do see the point coming. In fact, it may already be here when the people who are going to stand up against that are going to have to use appropriate force to repel that. I unfortunately I see that coming, and I don't see how it can possibly be avoided, particularly in countries where, and Canada is one of them, the government, the state, has a monopoly on the application of that kind of force, and they're turning a blind eye when certain factions within society are using force and violence to attack other people who they see as their enemies. And of course, the Muslim attack in Australia at a religious event is just one example of that. There are many others.
So it's a constant case of projection.
Yeah.
You look, since 2020, I went through and did a whole bunch of research on you since 2020, and we haven't. I don't think you've been on the show with me before.
No, I haven't. This is my first time I've had the pleasure.
And I say that because sometimes I had somebody on there like, Joe, I was on with you like a year and a half ago, and I was like, I'm so sorry. If you know what the last 5 years looked like for me, you would forgive me. I got to read your book though, by the way. But you've taken on some of the most controversial cases and stood out there, and you've taken some punches for it.
Oh yeah,
personally, you've taken.
I've been canceled several times. Yeah,
I mean seriously canceled.
Yeah,
like U.S. level canceling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Are you married?
Yes.
Kids?
Yes.
Why do you fight?
I don't think I have a choice. I think that, well, I shouldn't say that. The choice of not doing what I'm doing is worse, right? It's a dilemma. Of course, I would rather that the world were different and that I could live peacefully in it and not concern myself with the things that concern me. But that's not the reality of the world that I live in. And the world that I live in is that God has called me to a purpose. I'm here, as it says in the book of Esther, I was born for such a time as this. I have a job to do. The job is dangerous. I understand what the dangers are, and I accept them. But, in the end, when I shuffle off this mortal coil, I'm going to have to answer. I'm going to answer to him. And I'm going to have to make an account of what I did in my life and whether I stood up for him, whether I stood up for his truth. And remember, our Lord tells us if we won't stand up for him before the world, he won't speak for us before the Father. And that's not a fate that I'm willing to risk.
Death threats.
Oh yeah. Realistic ones. I had a guy come and knock out all the windows in my office building. He created a catapult and threw cinder blocks through them.
I almost killed a man at my house.
Really?
Oh yeah. came to my house to do harm to my family, and I almost killed him. And I mean, I have gotten to the point now where the death threats it never stops.
But you're going to get more when I let you run for governor.
I realize it, but here's the thing. Here's the reason why I'm doing it. Is that I'm prepared for the death threats. I'm prepared for all those things, right? The difference between me and most other people is I shoot back, and I'm a very good shot, right? Number one. Number two, I actually think the 40%, I call them the have-nots.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the people that's actually who you're fighting for.
Yes.
You don't know it.
Yeah.
But you're fighting for the people that are actually fighting against you.
Yes.
Right? That have been deceived.
Right.
And so I just want to reach them. Like win, lose, or draw. By the way, if they don't get rid of machines and mail-in ballots, I have no chance. I have zero chance of winning. Right? Somebody asked me this morning, Patrick asked me, he's like, why are you doing this? You know, you can't get past the machines. I was like, hey, look, President Trump has to do his job. I'm going to do mine. I'm going to continue to fight. I'm going to continue to do things on my side. And if he betrays the trust that I put in him to handle stuff like getting rid of machines and mail-in ballots and getting us to a place where we vote in person, we have an ID, sensibility, restoring sensibility. If he fails to do that, I'm still going to have to do. God puts you on a path and says, go do it. He doesn't even tell you that you might be successful.
Right.
He just says, get on that path. You need to do that. Right. I forget where I was going with this. I think I want to reach the 40%.
Mm-hmm.
I want the have-nots to have.
Right.
Like I want the people that they have put into, and you have these poor boroughs in your place too. Education environment's absolutely terrible. They shit on these people all day long. School to prison pipeline. Nobody gives a shit about them. I mean, it's very evident, right?
Yeah.
Those are the people I want to go talk to.
Mm-hmm.
And if I talk to them and I say, listen, and this is why they're afraid of me, because I'll walk into the middle of the hood and be like, hey, listen, you guys need trade schools. You need education. You need your single moms to have an opportunity. You need to break the cycle inside of your environment that makes you act like animals. And they expect you to be an animal. We need to stop the school to prison pipeline, get rid of the drugs, take the guns away, teach them how to responsibly hold and have a gun, get rid of the PTSD that they have by walking the streets thinking they're going to get shot. Right. Anyway, that's who I want to reach. And that's, I think, who you fight for.
Well, I think that's what I was saying earlier, where it sounds to me like you have a very clear concept of what I call servant leadership.
Yeah.
And I mean, who is Jesus trying to reach, right? But of course, the rank and file politicians we have today don't think in those terms, right? They think in terms of graft. They think about their own ambitions. They want to use people. They'll say or do or promise anything to get what they want, and hang the people. They don't care if people get proper health care. They don't care whether they have trade schools or can get a better job or can live in a peaceful neighborhood. They don't care about any of that. They care about their own personal ambitions. Those are the kind of people we need to get out of government. And I think this is actually perhaps the most important thing that could make the greatest difference across all the Western countries. I see this as symptomatic everywhere, is we don't have enough people to understand why we need good people in government, because they are the difference makers. And I don't think I'm not naive enough to think that there's ever been a time when we've had mostly good people in government. But there have been periods in history when we have had good people in government who have been able to dominate that environment and impact the rest of the people, and thereby control and keep down the corruption. We're living in the opposite environment right now. Donald Trump is trying to do a lot to change that. Fundamentally, say what you like about Donald Trump, I think you have a very difficult time making any sort of cogent argument that Donald Trump is in public life for his own benefit. Clearly, he has some vision of what he's doing, and that he sees himself as a servant of the people. You may argue that he's misguided in some of the things that he does, but you could never argue that Donald Trump went into public office in order to to gain wealth for himself and his family, or because he wanted to fulfill some personal ambition and hang everybody else. And of course, I think that the fact that he won't take the salary, the fact that he quotes scripture in public, that he talks about America being fundamentally the nation that's built on the principles in which it was founded. That's a type of servant leadership we need more of. And I see someone like Ms. Maloney doing that in Italy, where she's saying to people, look, if you're offended by Christianity, if you're offended by the cross, if you're offended by our religious symbols, then maybe you don't belong in Italy. Maybe this is not the place for you. Don't come here. If our culture and our customs and our history offend you, then Italy's not the place for you. If you're going to live in Italy, you're going to have to live amongst Italians. And we have our own culture. We have our own history. We have our own religion, our own beliefs. If you're going to live amongst us, you're going to have to either accept them or tolerate them. And unfortunately, what's happening around the world, particularly in the West, is we have people coming in, and of course, this is by design, who are trying to wipe away all of our history and culture and religion and trying to replace it with something else that I think pretty obviously is evil.
Okay, as we head towards this kind of awakening that's happening. I mean, I don't think I've been any more in parallel with someone as I am with you right now. And we've admitted it's going to take force, and we admitted that they are just a bunch of diabolical murderers. Where's the line?
Mm.
Where's the line? Where's the? I mean, how people feel right now like they're trapped? Like you can't attack and do the things that are necessary because I said you have earners, which those are these diabolical people. Then you have the enforcers. Those are the judges. I mean, so the enforcers come out and do something, and we beat the living tar out of them. Right? Put them back, put the genie back in the bottle, push the devil back in the hole. And then the enforcers go and they punish you for stopping the evil.
Yeah.
So and look, I've had some pretty harsh conversations with people where they're like, Joe, we don't care about the enforcers anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we don't care. Like, I think it's getting so red hot right now that people are just done.
Mm-hmm. I'm curious, why do you say that? Why do you say that it's so red hot? What makes you think that?
Well, I measure it based on death threats and then having conversations and seeing how people are reacting. I mean, I have guys that are doctors and lawyers and everything else that said, I'm done, Joe. I'm done giving the government 56 cents on every dollar. I'm done with Somalis coming into our state, taking everything. I'm done with them punishing me for being white. I'm done. So I see this every day. And maybe I have more conversations with people than you are. Yeah. But I have people that are saying,
Oh, I'm hearing the same thing. I'm just curious about why you're saying it. Because I get being a podcaster, which is sort of my side hustle. It brings me into contact with a lot of different people, some really, really smart, highly educated people, and other people, everyday people who contact me and email me and ask me questions and suggest different guest ideas and things like that. And I asked you the question because I'm hearing the exact same thing, that people they've reached a line. And in Canada, the big one right now is, the complete destruction of any concept of individual civil liberties, and not just speech, but the ability to assemble, to speak publicly against the government. We have in our country, the government completely controls mass media. We don't have a robust conservative media like you have in the United States that has risen up as a reaction. And so I think in Canada, as you put it earlier, we seem to be a couple of stages ahead on the road to tyranny than the United States is. And what I say to people in the United States is try to imagine if you would have had 10 years of the Biden administration, what would your country look like right now? Well, that's what we've had in Canada. Complete, unchecked, leftist obliteration of the formerly great nation, free and democratic nation, and God-loving nation that was Canada. The place that we have now in Canada does not bear any resemblance whatsoever to what we used to be. The only exception is this little pocket I live in called Alberta, which is trying to separate from Canada, by the way. We're going to have a referendum on independence, and we want to have a closer relationship with the United States. That's the only exception, sort of holding back the line. But even in Alberta, it's not the same country it was 10, 12 years ago.
You think you go to violence first in Canada? And we're speculating, and obviously we don't want violence. There's nobody that nobody that's ever seen violence that wants violence.
Yeah.
Number one. Number two, pray to God that He can solve all this without it.
Mm-hmm.
But if we go by the Bible or if we go by history, it's not looking good.
No, it isn't. And to answer your question about violence, we've already had it. I mean, people need to understand. I know many people in the United States saw what happened at the Freedom Convoy a few years ago, but the way that the Freedom Convoy was suppressed was through violence. The government brought in international mercenary groups to violently put down, arrest, beat people into submission. And that act of public violence against the Canadian people is a deep, deep bruise that's left a scar on the country. And it's frightened so many people. And this is the effect of it. The intended impact was to essentially cause people to self-censor. They're too afraid. And now there's only a few of us who are willing to continue to speak out. And the government of Canada since then is passing all sorts of legislation. Most recently, a bill that will make it a criminal offense, so that I can be arrested for things that I would say to you here on your program, if they offend someone or if they go against the government narrative. Well, of course I am. It's always a risk. Only a fool would not be aware of risk. And I don't fancy myself a fool, but I also don't fancy myself a coward. It's right to be afraid of bad things happening to us, but at the same time to cower and to not do what is right in the face of risk, of evil, in the face and the risk of violence or imprisonment. As I said earlier, that's not a decision that I'm willing to take. I'm not willing to take the easy road. And the reason for that, quite simply, is my faith, because I'm grounded in that. Whatever happens to me in my physical body or in this life, that's not the most important thing. I understand that. But unfortunately, many people, you call them the 40%, they don't live in that understanding, and they're so focused on their physical needs and the temptations of the body, and they're controlled by them. And because of that, they're easily controlled. It's easy to control somebody, who's a slave to their own bodies and their own vices. And unfortunately, that's where many people live right now, whether it's food or prescription drugs or, their cell phone, whatever it is, that's where they're focused on. And their eyes aren't on the things that they need to be on in order to understand what's really going on in the world right now.
You think it all comes to a head in 2026?
Wow, that's a hard one. I think that I think the elections in your country are going to be huge, hugely impactful, not only in your country but also in Canada and around the world. I think that's
if they get rid of the machines and the mail-in ballots.
Yeah. In our last the last 5 national elections, Joe, in our country, we have proven Chinese interference. Proven that they've controlled our elections. But the government, the ruling government, suppresses any investigation of it. So nothing can be done about it. So it's a catch-22. The corruption in our elections is not going to be, nothing's going to be done about it. It's not even going to be investigated unless and until some other party gets into power, if they decide to do it in the fullness of time, and they probably won't, because they will have had to cheat to get into power. And so here we are. We live, I mean, is Mark Carney the Prime Minister of Canada? Is he duly elected? I would bet not.
Well, you can't find anybody that's like Trump that's willing to stand up and reset the ridiculous. That's the problem. You have rugby teams over in Australia that are playing with drag queens, playing charity matches with drag queens. They are literally grooming children in the schools. Parents are unenrolling their kids from school in record numbers. I'm talking 25% of kids won't go to public school.
Yeah.
And I can't even imagine what's happening in Canada. But people are, I talk to people who are liberal. These people are Democrats.
Yeah.
Their entire family's been Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
And I go, tell me what's happening is sensible. And they're like, it's absolutely not. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And they're afraid to talk.
Yeah.
I talked to a rabbi friend of mine 2 days ago. And he's like, Joe, you're not wrong. It is a cartel of Jewish, godless, faithless people. They actually, it is a cartel.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I look, man, this is going to sound bad, but I look at it and go, how deep is it? I almost said something I shouldn't have. How deep is it? I don't want to get you in trouble. And now that I know that there's some limits, that I want to make sure I respect those limits. No. I don't have any limits.
I already got in trouble. I got canceled for saying that George Soros would use his influence to try and turn the 2020 presidential election. It turns out that was true. So I mean, I've gotten in trouble for most of these things already. But no, you're right. And speaking of anti-Semitism, I see anti-Semitism as a bellwether for something when there's something deeply wrong in society. You can actually go back through history and you can check this box. Of course, the obvious example is Nazi Germany. But whenever you see this rise of anti-Semitism, and the authors of anti-Semitism, shockingly, oftentimes are secular Jews. And, this is really strange. I mean, George Soros is the ultimate example because, as a boy in Hungary, his father went to some lengths. I don't know if you know the story, but he talked about it in 60 Minutes. His father was a wealthy lawyer in Budapest, and he actually got him to, he shielded, he protected him because the mayor of the town pretended that young George was his son. But he actually ended up helping the Nazis find Jews so that they could be their property could be taken and they could be loaded on trains and sent to the death camps. And that's George Soros. When he's asked about that, do you feel bad about that? He goes, well, no. I mean, what could I do? I had to survive. And unfortunately, this anti-Semitism, it comes from the strangest quarters sometimes, but it is symptomatic of a deeper, a deeper problem in society. But it's only one of the problems. Anti-Semitism is evil. It's an example of evil, but it's only one of the symptoms of evil that we're seeing in a very, very morally corrupted society. And it's because we don't have, our state is not properly structured. In order to have the rule of law, which everyone talks about, you have to have God at the head of the state. Because if you don't have God at the head of the state, then your rulers, the people who are in government, are not beholden to any objective standard of conduct. And when they're not beholden to that, they begin to see themselves as gods, and that's when they become dictators. And that's who we're being ruled by in Canada, certainly. And I think you could make a hell of a case, to say that Joe Biden tried to act that way, or at least the people who were controlling Joe Biden at relevant times. And of course, many people in the Democratic Party in the United States, I think, are of the same ilk. I mean, just sit down and listen to Gavin Newsom for any period of time. Listen to AOC saying that the Democrat Party, I mean, that they're a mainstream party.
I mean, how do they even argue it? I mean, and I have people that argue it. They argue that these are sensible people. And I'm thinking to myself, what is wrong with you? And then they say stuff like, Joe, you need a psychologist. So I go, okay, maybe let me just call someone that's a psychologist. And I'm like, I call my friend and I'm like, hey, Chuck, can you have a minute? I go, I need you to help me here. Am I seeing this wrong? Do I have beer goggles? Because good people should check themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Absolutely.
You should. You should check yourself.
Yeah.
And, but no, it turns out that when I talk to psychologists, they're like, yeah, I don't even agree with everything you believe, but no, you're very well versed on this stuff, John. I'm like, okay, well, maybe I'm not as retarded as they say that I am.
Well, they want to say that there's no objective standard of truth. And that's
there absolutely is.
There absolutely is. And, when you go back in Scripture, the famous conversation between Pilate and Christ, and about, Pilate says, well, what is truth? Jesus says, I am the truth. Well, what is truth? Suggesting that truth can be whatever I make it, that the COVID-19 virus is an existential health crisis, for example, that there's no cheating in elections, that Donald Trump is a dictator. Okay. That Donald Trump is Hitler. Okay. If you have no objective standard of truth, then you can make anything into truth. What is a woman? Right. On and on and on. But this is the fundamental question, in my view. This is what we're dealing with now is a fundamental assault on truth that's been going on throughout history. And what we're living through right now, I think, is just the latest iteration of that, of what that looks like in a highly technological society where virtually everyone on earth is connected.
Yeah. I'm worried.
You should be. But the Bible says, do not fear, right? Right over my shoulder.
Yeah, I'm
That's
worried.
The most repeated.
I'm not fearful. I know what is to come, and I don't like what's to come.
No.
But I recognize that it's necessary. And so, look,
maybe you can prevent it when you become governor, or at least in your state.
I just want to give people back their voice. I often say that you cannot have a country, can't have a world this screwed up if you had free and fair elections. And it doesn't matter what kind of societal breakdown you have or construct you have. It doesn't matter what the system is. It could be, there's pseudo-Marxist, communist environment that still have elections. If those elections were free and fair, those people would at least have an opportunity to thrive. They would have a voice.
Yeah.
Right? You cannot have a society that is so fundamentally flawed and broken if you had free and fair elections. It could not happen because people have a tendency to stick together and to make shifts. They shift society. Right. Yeah. We saw it happen in the 60s and 70s. And I wouldn't say that holistically that it doesn't mean you're not going to have problems, societal or community problems. But you can resolve those problems by saying, okay, we went too far left, went too far right. There is no too far left and right now. There is no progressive conservative. It is full throttle, steal everything, enslave the people, grift and graft and take whatever you want, and without accountability. And that dog does not hunt. That leads to where we are right now, which is almost a complete and utter state of lawlessness.
Yeah. Yeah. Hence the attack on speech. And of course, you talk about elections. What is an election? What is a vote but an expression of, it's a type of freedom of expression, freedom of political expression. And Euripides said, a slave is he who cannot speak his thoughts. And that's what we're getting to. And hence the attack on speech, the attack on words. And if you go even deeper, again, going back to the Bible in the book of Genesis, how does God create the universe? This omnipotent God speaks the earth, speaks the world into existence. He says, let there be light. In the book of John, it says, Christ was the Word made flesh and walked among us. Hence the importance of words and why the evil ones are constantly taking over words that we know the meanings of instinctively, like truth and freedom and life. and trying to change those words so that they mean something else that's awful and evil. And so you're so right about elections. But that drills all the way down to, who gets to speak, and who doesn't. And
that's the problem.
Yeah.
Once you have one side able to speak and the other side not able to speak, you are in a society that is run by the devil itself.
That's it.
And when people feel like they've been backed in a corner, doesn't take much. Does not take much.
Joe, that's what my book is about. Lies, laws, and liberties. Yeah, that's what it's about. It's about the attack on truth and how it's being done through lies and laws, and how that impacts our liberties. That's essentially what the book is about.
So when we go, do you have a game plan? Is there like a blueprint to overcome this evil in there? Is it just, okay, you're laying it out, and book number 2 is going to be like, here's what we do?
Yeah, well, there is another volume coming out, but the answer, what do we do, is what you're doing, and that is asking the question, okay, what can I do? Because of course, as talking about the 40%ers, what the enemy does is it convinces those people that they have no agency, that they are not important, that they are not relevant. Yeah. What I say is that we are all important. We're all made in the image of God. We all have fundamental dignity and value, and we all have something to offer. We have something to offer our families, our communities, our schools, in your situation, your state. If you have the ability to be someone who's a good governor, then do it. And don't let anybody tell you can't do that. And if we all did that, if we all did what we could do in our communities, that's what makes a difference. I'll give you an example. I go out and I do public speaking engagements. You probably do too. And oftentimes I'll ask people, show of hands, how many of you are concerned about the type of books that are in your kids' school libraries? All the hands go up. I say, okay, now show of hands, how many of you are serving on your school library board? No hands go up. But when you go look at those school library boards, Joe, that's where you find all the baddies. They're on those boards. And that's where people can get out, can make a difference. And the more that we do that, that's really the message of my book. It diagnoses the problems, talks about how it's being done, but it also talks about agency, about what you can do, how you can be an actor instead of a spectator in all these things that are happening.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, I'm going to read your book and then I'll have you back on and we'll talk more about it.
Great.
And, I wish you, I pray for you to have an immense amount of success and be protected in what you do, and that your family can be protected. If you guys want to go and pick your book up, is it on Amazon?
Yes, it is.
Is it anywhere else but Amazon?
Not yet. This is, as you know, it's hard to get books like this published. So you got to self-publish, and Amazon is where you go to self-publish. So for my second volume, it's not going to be on Amazon. I have another way of doing it, but for right now, unfortunately, we're using the apparatus of the enemy to get the word out. But thanks so much for having me on. It's been my real pleasure meeting you, and I hope that your gubernatorial campaign is successful. Hope I get to meet you the next time when you're the governor.
I would love that. And it's everything is in God's time, and so I'm just going to walk the path that I think He wants me on. But there is an amazing amount of fear around me jumping into this race.
Oh yeah,
radical left. They are.
That's a sign God wants you to do it.
Yeah, look, man, just there's a lot, right? Yeah. There's a lot. There's a lot to this idea that the radical left is the amount of evil that they represent it's pretty disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Pretty disgusting.
Yeah.
So as you know, but I don't even know if it's called the radical left anymore. It's just evil.
Yeah. I think these, like you were saying, these different labels you put on things, again, that they've almost become irrelevant. It's so obvious. It's really just good and evil. That's how at a certain point, that's really how you have to see the world. I'll give you an example again from the Bible. I think in the ancient times, people were so much smarter. Whenever Jesus came over somebody who was, slobbering all over themselves or, harming other people and was acting crazy, the automatic assumption was that they were possessed by demons. He would cast them out. Nowadays,
1000%.
Nowadays we give people, oh, he's schizophrenic. Let's give him lithium. Really, I think we've got to get back to the roots and say, let's look at what's really going on here. When you get right down to it, it's principalities and powers. It's good and evil. And you got to pick a side, and you got to stand on that side. It's not going to be easy, right? It's not going to be easy to stand on the side of good, and it's always going to be easier to join on the side of evil. That's the way the equation is set up. That's the temptation of evil. Is it's easy, but if we get more and more people who are willing to stand up for the truth, the way you are, then that's where we're going to make the biggest difference, I think.
I pray that's the case. Brother, thank you very much. And how do people follow you?
Well, we have the podcast is on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, the usual places you'd find it. The book is available also, as you said, on Amazon. I'm very active on X, and so people want to connect with me there. They can follow. We also have a Substack page. So those are probably the best places to follow us and follow what we do. But it's been my great pleasure to sit down with you, and hope you have a blessed 2026.
I'll be following you right now. I'm going to hit it right now. So actually, Patrick will while I'm sitting here talking to you. But God bless you, brother, and continue the work. And I'll have you on as soon as I finish reading your book. It's next on the list. Just read 3 books over the holidays.
Wow.
Thank you. Next.
Yeah, it's been my pleasure meeting you.
All right. Thanks, brother. Take care. God bless you. Well, Canada is, if there's hope in Canada, then I have lots of hope for us in the US. I feel like 2026 is going to be an outstanding year. I don't know why I feel that way. I do. And I'm not filled with hopium. I think that President Trump's got some work to do. He's going to have to recognize that, we're done with we're not arresting people. We're done with the harmeets that get up there and talk jibber jabber and, want us to pray to some sort of whatever I don't care that she's a Sikh. I don't care about that at all. What I care about is that we are diluting and destroying our country. And we haven't gotten rid of DEI. We haven't gotten rid of, none of that stuff is even real. And I know because we go in and we look at government contracts, and we were doing a bid on a stateside contract, and it said, oh, you have to be a minority in order to bid for this contract. And I'm thinking, this contract's been out there for 2 years and nobody's bid on it. Number one, you can't build it for that amount. And number two, why would you just not, you need the project done. Why would you? So I'll pick up the phone and just ask people questions like, okay, why would you make it a minority only? And they're like, oh, well, we're trying to give equal opportunity. I go, okay. So you want someone that is basically, you want to say, I don't want the best quality product. I just want to be able to virtue signal. And that's in essence what's happened. Our country is it's in really bad shape. And I know that people say Joe, it's not in that bad of shape. It is in that bad of shape. We are in really bad shape. We have a ridiculous high debt load on the country. We have crime through the roof. We have abortion, which different states have made it even, you have the ability to abort at birth. I mean, my mind this is part of I'm thinking about all these things all at the same time that are wrong with our country. Our roads are given to foreign private equity firms. Not kidding. We're in the process of doing a COIA request in Colorado on the roads in Colorado, the tollways, and where the money goes and who gets access to it and how much money is collected. And you want to talk about getting access to information that is going to be revealing. It is a complete grift on the people of Colorado. it is a complete grift on the people of California and Minnesota and every state. Every state out there is the same thing. It's nothing but a cartel. It is basically organized crime. You have the earners, you have the enforcers, you have the captains, and you have the bosses. And the bad thing about the bosses is the bosses could be China, could be Soros, it could be something even more nefarious than that. It could be a technocracy, and it could be, the Bill Gates of the world that go over and have created just mass amounts of mutilation and death and destruction over in Africa and operated with impunity. And now he's over here doing it. It could be him. I mean, who's the boss? Who's the boss? And that brings me to something else. We are down in Venezuela. And somebody said, "Oh, Joe, we're down in Venezuela. We're blowing up these drug boats." And I'm like, okay. And they're like, "Yeah, if we really wanted to get rid of drugs, don't you think we'd start with Mexico?" And he said to me, he goes, "But you know who the president of Mexico is, right? You know who that person is. It's a synagogue of Satan leader. Truth. A godless, faithless, Jewish person. Look, it's like, come on, you're trying to tell me that the country of Mexico elected a Jewish leader when they're like less than 2%, and all of a sudden that person is off limits, and now we don't do anything in Mexico. We haven't gone in there and stopped the cartel." Let me just tell you what just happened in Mexico City. This just happened. A business leader, do we have that story? Do we have that? A business leader in Mexico refused to pay the cartel. And they put 200 rounds in the Lamborghini Urus, killing him, his 16-year-old daughter, and his bodyguard in broad daylight. This is a deadly price of standing up to organized crime. No one is safe. This is the car right here. 200 rounds. Let's go ahead and play the video. Can we play the video? No audio? This is Mexico. But is it? I mean, this just happened in the United States. I mean, Charlie Kirk was shot for speaking truth. And then they say stuff like Charlie Kirk says all these racist things, and these are dog whistles that are used by faithless, godless devils. They'll say, "Oh, you're a bigot, you're a transphobe." No, I'm not a transphobe. I just am not going to buy into the whole idea of you can be a man and a woman. You could choose whatever your gender is. I'm not going to buy into the mutilation of children. I'm not going to buy into the grooming of children. I'm not going to buy into it. Does that mean that somebody that decides they're transgender is somewhere along the line I hate them? No. And I'm not afraid of them either. I just don't want for them what is coming in their life. What is it? 40% of transgenders try to commit suicide? 40%? But nobody wants to talk about that. Nobody wants to talk about the suicide rate being as high as it is, the illegal drug use being as high as it is, the alcohol abuse issues with people who live that lifestyle. No, they want to act as if this is the holy grail and this solves the problems, while they tell kids in their most vulnerable time that maybe you're a boy, maybe you're a girl. Our entire system is turned on its head. We're allowing what can only be described as the most ridiculous things ever in the history of humanity to be considered mainstream, and they're not mainstream. And everything points to people going through these steps and saying, "Okay, I want to be a boy or I'm going to be a girl," and that they come out of it a couple of years later. 99% of them live to regret it, which is why the suicide rate is so high. And let me just tell you something else about this. And I don't even know how we got on the transgender, probably because I keep getting, there's more, the dog whistles just never stop. And while I was on this show, someone decided to put a death threat on one of the posts on my socials. And all I said is, you just tell me when and where. Let's not put off till tomorrow what we can just do today. But this is who they are. This is what they are. They want to do everything they can to say, I'm here to help Black people. I'm here because I believe in charity. This Kyle Clark guy believes in charity. He's like, well, I want my listeners to raise 20 million. You ask him a simple question. How much have you put in, Kyle Clark? And you know what his answer is? Crickets. Because he doesn't put anything, he doesn't believe what he's actually selling. What he wants to do is he wants to take from you, give it to some NGO, use that money to go after and hurt people in the community. That's what they want to do. And they want to tell you that you're a racist because you're a white guy. You're a racist. Well, they literally put the Black guy over here, or and they say, okay. And the guy's walking along, he's like, yeah, we're here to help you. And then this same little piece of trash that tells you that you're a racist is the one that trips the Black guy, makes him fall on his face, and end up going from school to prison. And then they make money on him. They perpetuate these problems. See, it's bigger than I think most people realize. This has nothing to do with helping the community. This has nothing to do with, and they suck in people, man, left and right. They suck people in who are semi-retarded, barely have the ability to think for themselves. But they suck them in and they're like, no, it's the conservatives. The conservatives are the ones doing all this. While they put up pride flags and just hate on the people they say they represent. And if you think that I'm wrong when I say that, and that somewhere along the line that this is a mirage, and that they're actually right, that these people are honorable people, if you think that's the case, let me ask you what has happened in any of the blue environments, any of them. Black people are not better off unless you're Somalian. Illegals get bigger benefits than Black people do. Black people are told that, hey, by the way, you need to kill your kids. Here's an abortion. They say it's pro-choice. So you put something out there saying, hey, this is a choice. Maybe we can find a way for you to keep your baby. They'll tear it up and throw it in the trash. The genocide being committed against the Black community right now is probably worse than it was back in the 1700s. It's unbelievable. You saw this rise happening in Black people, and then all of a sudden it becomes, let's go back and look at and ask for reparations. You know why they want reparations? So they can steal it from you. They've already created an educational environment that makes it so you can hardly read. You can't do math. They're not coming in there for opportunities to give any of you opportunities. They're killing your babies. They're selling you on the idea that you can just go be promiscuous and have sex with whoever. And they're going to blame it all on white people. And by the way, these are white people that say they're not white that are doing this. These are people that say that they're their own race. And then when I had the conversation about them being their own race, and this is not about being Jewish, this is about being Jewish. This is about hijacking and betraying the very people you say you represent while hiding behind them at the same time. This is the synagogue of Satan. This is the evil that they represent. If what I'm saying is untrue and in any way, shape, or form, and say it's not, say, Joe, that's not true. Okay. Show me how Black people are better off under Democrats. Show me. Show me a example of a community that has gotten better under Democrats' control. Show me how crime has not infected or affected the welfare of the Black. I want to talk about Black community straight up. I'm not going to talk about Hispanic yet. I'll get to that in a second. But let's just talk about the Black community. If you were born in this country, and you are Black, and you were born in any inner city, you got a better chance of dying early than not going to prison. True story. Now, that's if you are educated. That's even, you even have to set limits for this, because if you're a derelict, they want you back on the street so that they can actually make it so you adversely affect your community. They want you to be arrested 30 times so you could be the poster child of, I let them back out. The system is let them back out. See, they're going to come into the community and they're going to destroy you. And then they're going to try and raise you up and prop you up, because sooner or later they figured you're going to figure it out. When you figure it out, they better have somebody to blame. And so when you saw the temperature start to rise, where black people were looking around saying, look, these Democrats are crazy, and they start switching over going, I think we're going to go over this way. All of a sudden, the Democrats come out and say, oh, we need to give you reparations, we need to give you all this stuff. But you never really get it. You don't get anything. You don't get better educational environments. No. They'd rather spend all of that money on a building in downtown Denver that they spent $700, $800 million on. It has marble floors. It's really great. Mayor Wellington Webb building. Go look at it. It's unbelievable. It's a beautiful building. And then I want you to drive 3 miles away and go to Denver East High School. Better yet, go to Globeville. Go to Globeville, Colorado, just outside of Globeville is a small area outside of Denver. It's an enclave of Denver. Go to Globeville. Tell me what you see. I mean, if you don't see homeless people everywhere and people selling drugs, and it's a disaster. Disaster. Where you have a food desert, there's no supermarkets. I mean, people have to take buses in order to go get food. No gas stations, no businesses of any sort, no schools, no buses just to bus those kids. It's got one of the worst graduation rates you're ever going to find in that area. The forgottens, the have-nots, predominantly black. The projects down there. I mean, it's bad, super bad. And I need to address this, because Colorado. I'm going to address this from the standpoint of Colorado, but let's apply it to across the entire country. Are black people better off with Democrats? Are they better off? I mean, just look, LeBron James started a school that he wanted to create a factory where he could find athletes and give them opportunities. This is in Cleveland. Go look at the test scores of his school. It's not just abysmal, it's below abysmal. And it's his charitable environment. And the guy's a billionaire. He's a billionaire athlete that whines on the basketball court. Everything's unfair. Go look at it. I don't need to be the one to tell you. You can go look at it yourself. You can pick up that deal and you can look at how LeBron James acts. He acts like a child. And he started a school in Cleveland where he came from, right? To take care of kids. It doesn't take care of kids. It's in absolute disrepair. So the guy's a billionaire and he doesn't even take care of the very thing that he says that he's doing to help back and give back to his community. It's embarrassing. And he gets access to public dollars too. I forgot about that. Man, one of the things that Leighton said is that we have hope. We have hope for Colorado, or for Canada. I have hope for Colorado. I don't want black people to kill their babies. I'm talking about black people first right now. I mean, if you go back and watch the videos of the people that I've had on the show, I don't dislike gay people. My friend Boris was on the show. He's still my friend. I've done a lot of stuff for Boris. He is gay. And he's black. And he's still awesome. And when I give him a hug every time I see him and he gives me a hug, man, he's still a Democrat. He thinks that the politics related to Democrat and Republican is all skewed. He believes the same thing about that there's no opportunity in those economically disadvantaged environments, that they become slaves to their environments because it creates commerce downstream. But I want to talk about black people for a minute. Just let's talk about black people. Let me look at comments so I can do this right. What has DEI done for black people? What's it done? Do you know who takes advantage of DEI for black people? Nigerians that come over and fake getting a PhD, that get arrested for having a criminal history that you find out they didn't even have a PhD. He was a superintendent of a school system. That happened. DEI affects, we can say, the ability for Somalis to steal billions of dollars from the taxpayers in Minnesota and do so knowingly and willingly with the help of Tim Walz, who is the governor of Minnesota. See, black people are actually left behind. No, look at the black people in sports because they were bred for sports. Do you know how absurd that is? Some of the smartest people that I've ever met in Africa, black. Very smart. So being a quarterback in the NFL, by the way, is that you have to have high intelligence. So I don't want to hear that there's an aptitude issue or they don't have the ability to learn as well as white people. They're disadvantaged. They're not, the only disadvantage is the fact that somebody took a boat anchor, tied it around their neck and threw it in the water and said, oh, by the way, I need you to live your life. $70 million babies have been aborted since Roe versus Wade. All of the LGBTQ, whatever, organizations are run by godless, faithless, Jewish people. All of them. Go check it out. Disproportionately, our society is run by this cartel. In Colorado, the governor, the AG, Secretary of State, the DA, investigators, I can go downstream. They're all faithless, godless zealots. All of them. All a part of this, and I called it the synagogue of Satan. I don't know what you want me to call it. What do you want me to call it? Want me to call it something different? Tell me what you want me to call it. They represent a little over 2% of our population, 1.6%. And they run 100% of the positions of power and of trust. And I haven't even started talking about the judges in the state of Colorado. It is a cartel. We have a cartel problem that wants to enslave and to beat and use black people as a tool for them to grift and graft off of the people in the community. That's what's happening in Colorado. Our education standards are absolutely shit. And what they did, there was a guy that, man, I was watching a video from him a week or so ago, and he's big on the reparations and black people this and black people that. Or he finds himself trying to renew the victimology, but not recognize who it is that actually stabbed him with a piece of wood that caused the infection. He can't figure that out. His name will come to me here in a minute, but he said to me one time, he said, Joe, what they have tried on us first, they will bring to your community. Now, he said this in 2020. We were aligned on what happened with vaccines and what they were doing with the COVID jab. We were aligned because he's like, the black population does not want to take a vaccine. But most black people go to the doctor and they want to trust the doctor. Doctor just loads them up with their COVID vaccine, does whatever they're going to do to them, kills grandma, does all sorts of other stuff, puts them on a high flow ventilator. I mean, just decimate the minority community. You say, Joe, why are you spending so much time talking about black people? There's a saying that says there's a little bit of truth in everything someone says. when they're trying to create bullshit. And so I'm going to say something you're not going to like, and that is black people don't have the same opportunity as white people. But black people to go live in a white community, they do. They fare better. They get better education. But then you have the people that say that they're not white that grab onto them and said, oh, by the way, black people are, look at them over there. Look at the black people over there, man. They're being taken advantage of by white people. And all you say, see white people that are running things. Only those people don't say that they're white. No. They don't call themselves white. This is where we are at in Colorado, and it's not unlike any other state out there. Go ask the black community. Go ask, you know what? Go to a bus stop and ask a guy that's sitting at the bus stop. He's probably listening to he's got his iPod. He's not wearing a belt. His pants are hanging down on his butt crack. I mean, he looks like he is in it to win it. But just walk up to him and say, look, do you feel like you're where you want to be in your life? And he's going to tell you, no, I don't. I don't feel like where I want to be in my life. And black people that make it don't understand black people that can't see that they're the ones that are stopping themselves from making it. But then I have to tell those people, you don't actually understand. You don't understand that look, if you keep putting obstacles in front of people, sooner or later they lose hope. Once you lose hope and you're like, okay, I can go be a pro athlete or I can be a drug dealer, but I want that Mercedes. Like, I want to have what they have. Why can't I have what they have? Well, because every toolbox that they have, you open it up, and instead of having tools that you can build with, they're given tools that are designed to destroy them, to make them fail. They give them a hammer, and the hammer's made out of wood. Well, how long is that hammer going to last? And over here, you got a hammer made out of metal. They can go build something with it. You can't build anything with a hammer made out of wood. But you have these people that stand up on stage and say, you know, we're for the black community and we represent the people. They don't represent shit. They represent themselves. They're a bunch of grifting assholes. And here's the reality. The grift is up. If we are going to get to a place where we restore our country, restore our state, we are going to have to get rid of machines and mail-in ballots in all 50 states. And if President Trump does not get that done, I don't care if you have to press the Insurrection Act or not. I don't care what you do. I can promise you this. The Republicans that are inside the House and the Senate, they're not going to help you. The people that are inside of they're not going to start arresting people. You have affidavits and you have testimony from people that said Dominion voting system was designed to actually steal the voice of people. You have audit after audit after audit. You have report after report after report. You have over and over again proven that, it doesn't work here. And here in this state, we had all these massive problems inside the system. They're designed to have problems. Have you seen one election that went well with Dominion or Liberty Vote or ES&S or Smart? None of them went well. And if they went well, it's because nobody questioned or lifted up the hood and said, why are these votes over here? Because they just push it all together and then they spin it all around and all the votes come together and they're like, Democrat won 50.5% to 49.5. Yay, that's another Democrat. Nobody has an appetite for the radical left agenda. No one. For the overtaxation that we have in every level in Colorado or around the country. Nobody has an appetite for it. But here's what they say. They're like, Joe called for acts of violence. That's what they have. Oh, Joe's a conspiracy theorist that talks about the fact that the machines are rigged with no evidence. But I have plenty of evidence. If what I'm saying is wrong, and if you know someone that's black that lives in the inner city of Denver and Aurora, I want to talk to him. You know, my friend Jamal served 7 years of a 15-year sentence. He's my friend. I got involved in the Denver Dream Center. Pastor B, great guy. I went in there, I was wearing my Paracoup boots, right? They're fish boots. He burned his number. I just bought him a new pair of boots. I can't wait to see Jamal so I can give him his boots. But I told him, I was like, listen, he goes, man, what do I got to do to pick a pair of boots? I said, you got to stay on the straight and narrow. And then I'll get you a pair of these boots. And he burned his number almost 2 years early. He's an amazing, he's been at the same job for the last almost 3 years. Great guy. So I asked him, it's a simple question. Why? Why were you a gangbanger? He told me that he had a case of the fuckets. You know, you know what the case of the fuckets are? Case of the fuckets is that everything's going bad, so just fuck it. I can't get a job doing anything other than flipping burgers. So fuck it. I can sell drugs and make what I can make in an entire month in less than 3 days. So fuck it. There's no God anywhere because they've just convinced them that God doesn't exist. I mean, nobody's talking about God. Nobody's out there on the street. And by the way, there's a brotherhood, right, in the gangs. So he went homeless for a couple of weeks and he called his friends up. He's like, hey, yo, can I crash in your place? Oh, no, man, we can't. I don't have any room for you. Fuck it. Now, every time he goes to do something stupid, he calls me and I was like, oh, you got a case of the things aren't going well. He's like, yeah. I was like, all right, let's reset. Let's sit down. Let's talk about it. But Jamal doesn't have, he has me. How many other people don't have a Joe? How many people don't have a friend that basically will talk them off a ledge, walk them through things, get them to read a book? I got him to read a book. He read a book about investing. He's like, Joe, I need another book. I need another book. Black people think that they got out of slavery. Instead of getting out of slavery, they become enslaved by a party that uses them, abuses them, betrays them, and treats them like the slaves that they were back in the 1700s. And then they handpick, and choose Black people to run in certain areas as long as they toe the line. Or maybe they're just a sexual deviant like Tay Anderson. We'll put him on the board at 21 years old. Total freak of nature. And make sure, by the way, that he represents the LBGT, whatever you want to call that. Some just sorority of people that are completely confused and or abused or have just a ton of baggage. Mentally ill. It's like it raises to a new level of mentally ill. But they have to be a part of that too. You just can't have, and you know, if just the Black people in Colorado, just by themselves, if the Black people in Colorado would finally say or look at themselves and go, what in the world am I getting? Like, what am I getting? Yeah, I got a right to kill my baby. But the only reason I want to kill my baby is because I can't go get a job making enough money to take care of my baby. And the only reason that you have these guys that want to run out there and be pro athletes and not concentrate on an education is because the education system's not there. They don't even have air conditioners. They got teachers that are more interested in talking about social justice than they do about math and science and English. They literally are sexualizing children in Denver in the 3rd grade. And who do you think they're targeting? Black people. And then they have white people that are not synagogue of Satan people, that are not out there trying to recruit kids and tell people that I'm not white and everything else, that white people are bad, but I'm not white. And they're the ones running around. It's always the white woman, which is typically that person telling Black people that I know what your problem is. It's white people. And then you have Black people that are super successful that are like, man, I don't know what you're talking about. Ben Carson, the Hodge twins. I mean, the Hodge twins are a perfect example. Those guys are super smart. And they can't understand the whole black victimology. I can understand it. And by the way, we're not going to be able to change this. You're not going to be able to change this victimology overnight because there is real pain. And every time I see a video of a woman a police officer pulls her over, and she's doing 20 miles over the limit, and she starts screaming through the little window, I don't feel safe. I don't feel safe. They've been given tools to basically make themselves look like assholes. And if you think I'm wrong, go check out Hodgson. They must do a video a week of a black woman that basically, it's always a black woman, right? It's like, oh no, sir. They're breaking into some store, stealing something, and they'll run through it and they mock that person. I don't want to mock them. I just want to take away your tool and say, listen, you act like a fool because you think it's going to get you out of it, but it doesn't. It gets worse for you. And over here, we have an opportunity to really hold people accountable. I don't know of a single mom in Aurora or Denver or what have you that doesn't want their kid to have a better life than they have. But while Somalis are out there gathering up millions of dollars for education systems that are learning centers, you get nothing. But they'll talk about you. They'll use you as a whipping boy against white people. Well, they give all the opportunities designed for people generationally. Let's say you've been around for 4 generations. They'll give them to the Somalis. They'll give them to the Nigerians. Listen, yes, Casey is running for governor of Ohio against Vivek. Vivek is, again, let's just call it. He came out and said, if you vote for anyone other than me, then you're a racist. Because that's their dog whistle. Again, Vivek wants to use people and say, I'm a minority. Well, how well did that work out for us with the FBI director and Kardashian Patel? Didn't work out so well. The reason why they don't want me to run for governor of Colorado is because the 40% black people, white people that don't have a lot, but black people, brown people. Let's talk about brown people for a minute. There are Hispanics that have been here for 70 years. Families been here. By the way, you will not find a more Catholic family than you will in the cohesiveness, a Christian family than you will in the Spanish community. You won't. There's a lot of single moms because you know why? Because they keep their babies. And they're trying really hard to get the babies inside of those communities not to have their babies. I don't know where they want the babies to happen. They've got it figured out, by the way. You can't walk into a Muslim family and say, oh, by the way, abort your kid. So you got someone that has a wife and 3 other wives and 3 other homes. And this happens in Denver. You'll have a guy who has a single mom with 5 kids in a house collecting all sorts of entitlements. They just got off the boat from Syria, Afghanistan, whatever you want to call it. He's got 5 kids in that house, 3 kids in that house, 8 kids in that house. They're all his. One dude. He's got a harem. You think they're aborting their babies? No. They're literally just sucking off the tit of the American dream. They're sucking it dry. Is that all Muslims? No, but it's a lot of them. People that are not Americans are getting those entitlements. People that are American are not getting entitlements. And they hate white people. For sure, they hate white people. Unless you're from Israel and you're part of this cartel, then they're not white. And a part of my family is Jewish. Part of my family is Catholic. Part of my family is Christian. Part of my family. Look, A big part of my family is black. A big part of my family is minority. You call my sister up and ask her if how we treat each other. You know, I keep doing this podcast every day. And you know, I see the podcasts that others do, and they're always, it's always the junky podcast, right? So it's breaking news. This is breaking. Like, we don't want to solve the problems we have in our community. We want to let pieces of shit run out there and just run off at the mouth and tell us that they got it all figured out. I mean, I saw this podcast where some guy named Doily, or what was that guy's name? Patrick, what was that guy's name? He did a YouTube video. He did an entire show on me. You remember who the guy is? All right. About the fact that I called for violence against my foes. I don't have a foe. I believe that we should protect the people, and that people in office should not betray the very people they say they're representing. But how do we get to a place where we can get people that think that they are being protected by these radical leftists actually recognize they're being betrayed by them? Like, they're standing right next to them and they're like, yeah, just get out there and talk about the fact that you hate Donald Trump. Look, it doesn't take you can go into downtown Denver and have a conversation with 1 out of 3 black people will be like, Trump's my guy. You want to know why? Because they recognize that what they're doing is foolish. And the other 2 out of 3, one just doesn't care. He's completely disconnected from it. And then the third one is, you know, just bites off on the idea that he's in a sucky situation and somehow the Democrats are going to make it less suck. But they're not. They make it worse because they don't care about you. They're using them. And by the way, kill your babies. Let's jump through some hoops here and talk about some of the other things and the reason why we are here. Let me see if I have this here. Okay, let's put up the Julie Donuts thing, right? So let me. This is Kyle Clark. This, by the way, is the guy in 9 News in Denver, Colorado. He's blocked me, blocks anyone and everyone that calls him out and questions anything that he says. He has zero substance. Let's look at what Miss Donut says completely. Why don't you tell the truth about how Tina got railroaded with bullshit charges and got no bail? And then she caught the Dominion voting machine fraud that flipped votes on the fake Biden "you trash can." Watch what happens to these scumbags. All of them. Civil lawsuits too. TikTok traders. So this is Julie Donuts putting up there. So then Kyle answers her. It says, "Hi, Miss Donuts. Trash can is an amazing insult and should be used more often. Any chance you could share evidence of your claim that Tina Peters found proof that Dominion voting machines flip votes? Thanks in advance." So other people go and put stuff underneath it to say, okay, here's the 3 reports from Dominion or from Mesa. Here's the report from ASOG. Here's the report from Arizona. Here's the report. Here's the whistleblower. So we go to put that stuff up there. What do you think Kyle Clark does? I'll tell you what he does. He goes and takes that information. He dismisses it because he's a journalist. He's a journalist with, you know, he's a journalist, right? That's what you would do if you were a journalist. And so I put this up and said, how do you call yourself a journalist when you hide from scrutiny, Kyle Clark? You lie, you cover up crimes for really bad people, and then you run like a coward when questioned. Yeah, you're a real journalist for sure. All right, let's go ahead and take that down. And then we have to connect. I keep coming back to the election fraud. People get tired of me talking about election fraud. They get tired of it. People are like, Joe, can you talk about anything other than election fraud? We'll do something about it first. Matt Crane decided to come out. And Matt Crane, if you don't know anything about Matt Crane is Well, I mean, do we have my post on Matt Crane? Let's put that up first. We'll put that up first to Matt Crane. So Matt Crane put up a post that says, true election integrity demands facts over fiction. Tina Peters' illegal breach found zero evidence of fraud and exposed her profound ignorance of secure election systems. Convicted of 7 counts, 4 felonies, sentenced to 9 years. Holding up his ears is disgraceful. That's what he says, right? And undermines election integrity. There's nothing conservative about it. All right, so let me just tell you who Matt Crane is, because Matt Crane hides. Matt Crane has been hiding all the way back to when he ran for county clerk and recorder in Arapahoe County and helped them steal elections in Arapahoe County. He was really good friends with Eric Coomer. Well, let me just tell you how further deep it gets with Matt Crane. Matt Crane's wife, who, by the way, did not take his last name so that she would look like she wasn't connected to Matt Crane, so you couldn't connect the dots very easily. Worked at Dominion Voting Systems before it was Dominion, and Sequoia Voting Systems for 18 years. 18 years. Here's what I had to say about him. The traitor to our nation is married to the Dominion Voting Systems manager who worked there for over 18 years. This is the guy that defended Eric Coomer, the radical leftist, self-proclaimed skinhead Antifa member who called for the death of police officers and destruction of the USA. The same Eric Coomer has tried to keep sealed the criminal evidence out of D.C. court in the Dominion versus Byrne case. The same Eric Coomer who said, don't worry about it, Trump's not going to win. I made effing sure of it. The same Eric Coomer that was the chief architect of Sequoia Voting Systems, fresh off of a near set of felony convictions in California. The same Eric Coomer that ran into a building, left the scene, ran into a bar, and took a couple shots and then lied to police over and over again, committing a felony in the process. The same Eric Coomer who ran 50% of the vote of the American people as the director of strategy and security for Dominion. Matt Crane partied and was friends with a deviant. Yet he calls himself a Republican. Now, like most leftists, his wife and him kept different last names to hide the connection. Well, they bullied, lied, and defamed Tina, myself, and anyone that questioned the system of fraud. Matt Crane is a treasonous traitor to the nation. He knows the system is fraudulent, and he continues to lie with impunity. Mark him on the list as one of our originators and cartel members who has stolen the voice of the people of Colorado. I have the recording of Matt Crane talking to investigators of Colorado where they railroaded Tina Peters. I will post it over and over again so you can hear how much the piece of garbage does not know about the system. He's a liar of magnificent proportions and ground zero for hiding the fraud in Colorado. Mr. President, look no further than the very disgusting man you can call him, if you can call him a man. The reason why I talk about this over and over again, you guys get tired of hearing about it, is because if we did not have fraudulent elections, everything would take care of itself. And it might take time. It might take time for it to undo it. But the people would find ways to put, when you have a media apparatus that defames people on the regular, but your enforcers, remember, so you have the earners over here, so that's the media companies, that's the people, the lawyers, they're over here. Then you have the enforcers, so let's just say you go to sue these people and they just dismiss it. Let's say you go to get to the bottom of the election fraud, they dismiss it. And when the sleeper cell, when it gets to the point where they have enough density, which is what they have, then the enforcers stop things from happening that create progress. They try to basically run the clock. Now, if what I'm saying is not true, then what did they do to President Trump over 200 times in the last 10 months? You would have to be foolish not to see that that's what's happening. These people are literally running cartels. How do you think Mamdani was sworn in as the mayor of New York City? They found massive numbers of ballots in New York City that were people that were not legal to vote. They were not in our country legally. And nobody said anything. Because the systems are so wrought with corruption and fraud, they are lawless to every degree. They basically get to decide who and what gets to the next level. They can destroy at will anybody that they want. Because the system, when you have the earners that are here, the lawyers, and you have the enforcers, which are the judges, and they're rotted to the core, what you have is a recipe for organized crime. It is a cartel. It is an illegal operation, and we have to do something about it, which is why President Trump, I don't even see how he gets away with not saying that he's going to enforce or implement the Insurrection Act. I don't see how he gets away with not doing it. If he doesn't do it, our country's completely done. because you have no mechanism as a citizen to go against the enforcer when it is directly correlated to the captains and the bosses. The entire system is fraudulent. The entire system is fraudulent. From end to end, we do not have free and fair elections. It is fraudulent from end to end. Until you get to a place where you can have sensibility and say, you know what, you have to have an ID. You should vote in person. There shouldn't be this black box and lack of transparency and mail-in votes. It shouldn't exist. You can say, well, I like it for convenience. If you cannot go and vote, you don't deserve to vote. You don't deserve it. Fraudulent election systems that are run by fraudulent people who are radically motivated put Mamdani in the seat as the mayor of New York City. And Patrick was talking to his friend. I was talking to my friend. And there are people that are diabolically opposed to what is happening in New York City right now. But let me just show you what the inauguration in New York City has. And you decide. Go ahead and play it. New York City is a city of 9 million, 10 million people. Did you see the crowd? And let me just show you what he's saying that how he's going to rule in New York City. We are headed towards some really bad times. Here's what he has to say.
Beginning today, we will govern expansively and audaciously. We may not always succeed, but never will we be accused of lacking the courage to try. To those who insist that the era of big government is over, hear me when I say this. No longer will City Hall hesitate to use its power to improve New Yorkers' lives. For too long, we have turned to the private sector for greatness while accepting mediocrity from those who serve the public. I cannot blame anyone who has come to question the role of government, whose faith in democracy has been eroded by decades of apathy. We will restore that trust by walking a different path.
So Mamdani surrounded himself with criminals, grifters, anti-white believers. It's the platform of the Democrat Socialists. Very dangerous group of people that basically is the mask underneath the mask of Antifa. And here is Jermaine Williams after being sworn in as New York City's public advocate. Play it.
Little black boy, you were worth it. And you always were. And without any titles, you were enough. You were always enough. And you deserve to accept love, and you deserve to be protected. And I'm honored to be here to help create a city that's worthy of that for you. And I'm so proud of you.
He's a BLM activist. This is the craziest thing ever. He lost his Brooklyn home in foreclosure after getting about $1 million in debt. And he used to fund a failed business venture. He made $184,000 annually as a public advocate and generated additional income by renting out the property. He failed to make the $1,344 monthly mortgage payments for 15 years. 15 years. How did he get to keep his house after 15 years? 15 years. kept his house for 15 years after not making payments. How many of you would like to not have to pay for your home for 15 years? Again, I'm going to say this over and over and over again. We have a system designed for the haves and the have-nots. 15 years, you cannot pay for it. No problem. Who pays the bill? You do. You're a slave. And black people in this country, not the haves, like this guy, not the token that gets put up on the stand so that he can use and betray the very people he says he represents. No, everyone else has to pay for it. Everyone else has to pay for it. 15 years. He didn't pay his mortgage payment. Pretty crazy. And if you think that's bad, he appointed a felon in charge of public safety, Mice and Lennon, in charge of New York City, is now told that Mandami has the blueprint for the Democratic Party. This is an insurrection. This is, and the people of New York City, I will tell you, you want to see people rise up. He's going to piss off the wrong people, and it's going to be really bad for him because East Coast people, we don't play. We don't play. And if you have another Democratic socialist that won in Seattle through rigged elections, again, all mail-in ballots, no transparency, same Dominion voting systems, ES&S, same blueprint, stealing elections and giving you absolutely no ability to look into any of it. You don't even get to tell. You don't even get to see that Liberty vote, what the contract looked like for them to buy it from Dominion voting systems. You don't get to see it because you're not entitled to it. It's not your election. Here's Katie Wilson, the winner of the Seattle race, giving her first speech. Go ahead and play it.
So we're going to be reviewing the ways that the city is spending money, and I think we're going to have to do that given the size of the budget deficit. And I am not averse to ending spending on programs that were maybe well-intentioned when they were first implemented but aren't fulfilling their goals. So we're going to be doing the very best to be the best stewards of public resources we can. I do think that we will need to pursue new progressive revenue in order to fund our priorities and make sure that we're delivering services to the people of Seattle. There's several progressive tax options I proposed as part of my platform, and so we're going to have city staff looking into developing those into legislation. Don't know yet exactly what the timeline is going to be on that.
So she wants to add more taxes. I saw some of her tax plans. It adds an additional 4.5% in taxes. And if that's not enough, here's I want you to meet Lakeisha Alston. So she was asked a couple questions and couldn't answer it, but she's running as a Republican who's wearing a burqa. And Republicans don't have anybody opposing her. You want to know why? Because nobody wants to get bullied and say that we don't want to support the black candidate. They literally are taking over our country, and we're watching it happen while feckless cowards do nothing. Play it.
I am a Republican. I know that I have been seeing a lot of people with hesitation about the party that I choose to represent, just because, growing up, you pretty much do what your family does, what, their beliefs are as far as your party. But like I said, I am matured in my own revelation of what the Republican Party represents, and it looks like me. And just the ideology of the ideology of the Democratic Party. I just have gotten away from some of those narratives, and I feel that the Republicans have a better viewpoint in which the direction that the United States and North Carolina, especially Durham, should be in.
And here's something from San Francisco. If you don't think that this is a pandemic of massive proportions and that you think you're safe, 2026 is the year of do something or else. Play it.
$5 million payments to eligible black residents. However, paying for it may take some creative accounting. As the New York Post reports, the city's admitting it can't sign the checks as it's facing a $1 billion deficit.
Can't sign the checks. So I'm going to say it again to the black people of Colorado, or probably black people across the country. I can't save you. I mean, if you're listening to this show, I actually don't think it's possible that we can undo and unring the bell for the last 20 years for people that are already in their 40s. We can try. But I can tell you that the next generation coming up, if we can take away the ability for us to give billions of dollars to Somalians and Nigerians and illegals and start investing it back into your community, I mean, I will say something that is really interesting, and that is, what do you have to lose? You have shit now. You have nothing. You have nothing. You have nothing to show for anything. And the whole idea of the Democrats taking care of you, they're not taking care of you. They're taking care of the cartels in the streets and ignoring them. They're not taking care of you. They're giving you zero opportunity. There's no, show me where United Airlines is in there trying to help you in your community. It doesn't exist. Black, brown, green, yellow, purple. If you're in the poorest environments, you're a commodity. You represent dollars to them. And so getting out of that, you have to scrape and claw, and only 1 out of 1 million will make it out. And the rest of you will just try to get by. And they'll tell you to go to school, and then you get out of school and you go look for a job and you can't find one. You want to know why? Because they pushed you through school too, and you really didn't learn shit. And so you get back to the fact, like, I went to school and got a degree, and now I can't find a job working at McDonald's. So then you revert back. It's a real problem. It's a real problem. But how about trade schools? How about we turn those? How about we take all the people that are at East and make them go, and they can have their school at the Mayor Wellington Webb building. We'll move all those bureaucrats and judges down to the East, Denver East. Maybe if we stopped actually with the grift and the money that they're pushing out to NGOs to tell you to cut off your penis, maybe if we take the money away from them and we start giving it back to the kids, maybe there'd be a chance. But right now, you're in an environment right now where you are the victims. You're right. You are the victims. And the people that are victimizing you are the very people that are saying they're there to help you. They're betraying you. Every way, shape, and form, they're betraying you. So there's a lot of different things that we have to get right. But one of the things that we have to get right is how we fix this sickness, this disease in the community that is caused by this lawlessness and this lack of just basic management of our city and our states. So that's all I have. Let's go ahead and pray it out. It is the first. We got a lot going on today. It is Friday. But look, I am very hopeful. I think that it'd be hard pressed. By the way, most of the people that are in Washington, like the Harmeets and the Pam Bondi, they're not affected by any of this. They've never walked into the hood anywhere. They've never walked into a bad area of town. I mean, Pam Bondi wouldn't know what the hood was if she was, zero understanding about what's going on in this country to the poorest among us. So I pray that somewhere along the line we can have conversations. And look, I don't even have all the answers to what's happening in Colorado or even in the other states, like what's happening in San Francisco. But again, it's virtue signaling while letting people just do whatever they want on the street and victimize you. And then, maybe or maybe not, they'll throw a few dollars at you to keep you hungry. But by no means do they plan on trying to fix anything. They just want to kill your babies, take away your education, and tell you, by the way, that it's the white people over there that are doing it to you. It's not. It's not. All right, let's pray. Father God, thank you for just for everything. And I know what we're up against right now, and it's a lot. So I just ask you, Father, that you will protect us and guide us and give us the strength and courage to continue to fight through all of this, whatever you want to call this, that we're going through, this ridiculousness, this evil. Father, I ask you to put a special blessing on those that are sick, as we go into the new year, and that they may be healed. And I ask, Father, that you give us the wisdom to be able to maneuver through all of the different challenges that we're facing today. It's a lot. But I know, Father, that you have a plan, and so we are your willing participants to serve you. Help us, Father, we may never become the very thing that we're fighting against, and we may take a step back and just recognize when we start to get off the rails, because we're seeing just the immense amount of evil that we're dealing with. Help us to be your servants, Father. Say these things in Jesus' name. Amen. All right. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and more. We're on all that stuff. We're going to be on Roku by the end of a week or a month, I think. And you get to go share. And for the guy that just threatened my life and said he'd come from my family, I'm just going to tell you real quick. If you have anything that you hold sacred, you can come for me anytime you want. You talk about my family, and you even think that that's even a possibility, I just want you to know, all bets will be off. So there you go. I'll see you guys later. And by the way, I'm not Jesus. I follow Jesus best I can, but I'm not Jesus. Except for Flynn claiming he did not know Joe. Yeah, he said he did not know me, which is not true. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. You guys have anything else you want me to talk about real quick? We're just going through this. Oh, Kyle Clark say something else? Oh, there you go. You guys, yeah. Go over there and give Kyle Clark a bit of your mind. Tell him that. Anyway, God bless you. We'll see you soon. Have a great weekend. We'll be back on Monday. Yeah, it's going to be great. Take care. God bless you. Where's the Joe song? Governor. You guys are killing me. They want the Joe Governor song.
Rise up untamed. In the heart of the fire where the wild ones roam, Joe Oltmann's calling, bringing truth back home. From conservative daily to this untamed fire, we shatter the silence, lifting spirits higher. No chains can hold us, no lies can prevail. Authentic and fearless on this rugged trail. Patriots gather under stars and stripes. Untamed nation, igniting the night. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Untamed nation, it's our battle song, motivating hearts where the brave belong. Yeah, untamed and wild, forever strong. Play it again all night long. Time to heal. Joe's voice leads the untamed crew. Truth matters through and through. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Untamed nation, it's our battle song, motivating hearts where the brave belong. Yeah, forever strong. Play it again all night long. Truth forever. forgotten and the free, exposing rigged machines, Coomers lies, Dominion's deceit, pays a grand each day, shielding truth from corrupt halls, but he won't back down, standing tall through it all. Bart and Tina Peters break the chains that bind her tight, hand count votes and one day bring the fraud to light. No more mailing scams, no machines to steal the night, restore the people's voice, make Colorado right. Governor Oltmann, lead us bold and true, badass for the have-nots, fighting through and through. Abolish property tax, cut the tolls away, shrink the bloated state, let the people have their say. Oltmann, it's our rally call, truth and freedom rise and watch the tyrants fall. Untamed Colorado, strong and proud, we'll be one man for the people, set our great state free. Help the single moms, bring back trade school strong, opportunity for youth, where the brave belong. Audit every NGO, ban the wolves that roam, reclaim our stolen land, bring the power home. Eric Coomer's fraud, Dominion's rigged design, expose the stolen votes, cross a dangerous line. No more victimhood, no chains on you and me. He's running for governor for real liberty. Smash the fraud machine, pardon heroes jailed for the have-nots. Rising truth will never fail. One warrior defies the corrupt elite. Colorado reborn, strong on our feet. Governor Oltmann, lead us bold and true. Badass for the have-nots, fighting through and through. Abolish property tax, cut the tolls away, shrink the bloated state, let the people have the say. Governor Oltmann, it's our rally call, truth and freedom rise and watch the tyrants fall.